So it really was a dark and stormy night, and it figured, thought Bo. Of course it was a dark and stormy night. Of course it was. Okay, so it wasn't actually night, technically. It was afternoon, and Bo sat on her bed looking through the iron child safety bars of her bedroom window, listening to the rain thunking against the metal fire escape outside. Still, dark and stormy afternoon was close enough. And on the same day that her teacher had made the whole class enter an annoying writing contest where the prize went to the worst writing possible. School was almost over, and instead of just letting Bo hang out in the band room with the monster drum set, Miss Phillip expected her to spend the time productively. On a writing contest that didn't matter. What sense did that make? Miss Phillip said the contest was inspired by some guy who'd started his book with, "It was a dark and stormy night," which apparently was the worst writing ever, even if it didn't seem so bad to Bo. Certainly not as bad as spending an entire period trying your best to write your worst. At school. She was sure Mary Church Terrell would not be happy to have her name on a school that did things like that. And she was sure because she'd won the award for the best Mary Church Terrell speech last year. She'd always had the best teachers. She made cards and cookies for them every winter break. Until Miss Phillip. She was the kind of teacher who kept changing due dates after you already turned the assignment in. Bo had just given her a card she bought at CVS, and she'd signed it Best, which Mum had told her was petty polite. Still, Mum had let it slide. She was cool like that, like a swing cymbal beat. Thunder clapped, and Bo jumped. She heard her mum laugh down the hall. Bill must be telling one of his corny jokes again. Since neither of them had normal jobs, Bill and her mum had developed an afternoon tea routine that Bo had to admit was pretty cute. When he'd arrived today, shaking his wet umbrella all over the floor, he'd said, "If anyone needs an ark, I happen to know a guy." And Mum had actually for real laughed. Bo had laughed too, mostly because it was such a bad joke that you couldn't do anything else. And because she liked Bill and his corny jokes. And because he'd winked at her. He'd known it was bad, but he'd said it anyway, and there was something good about that. Bo liked Bill a lot. But now that he had his own key to their apartment and felt comfortable enough to be shaking his umbrella all over the place, it made Bo a tiny bit itchy. Boom! Thunder again. It was so dark. Looked like it was going to be a dark and stormy night for real, and there was no need to say it some other, prettier way. Sometimes it was good to just see and speak things as they were. Like her mum and Bill were serious. Real serious. They'd probably get married, and Bill would be telling jokes all day long, and Bo would have to hurry up in the bathroom even though she was just getting to the age where she was supposed to spend all of her time in there, looking at herself in the mirror and figuring out her best selfie angles. Even though she never took selfies and kind of liked Bill's jokes and loved hearing Mum laugh, the idea of Bill as her stepdad needed some time to settle. She and Mum had been a team of two for all of Bo's life, and it worked. Bill was clearly becoming essential to Mum, and Bo was used to being all I need to get by, as Mum would sing when they baked together. As lightning flashed and the rain continued to thud against the window, Mum called, "Sweetie pie, Bill's leaving." "Don't come out. I'll see you soon," yelled Bill. "Just saying bye. I'm heading home before it starts raining chickens and ducks, because then it would be real foul weather." He laughed. Mum laughed. And Bo had to laugh again, too, even as she rolled her eyes. "Bye, Bill," she said, sticking her head out of her door. "See you soon." She really did like him. She closed the door so she wouldn't have to hear goodbye smooching and went to her desk. She pulled an overstuffed folder that said Bo's Bakes on the front from the middle of a precariously placed tower of books. Mom had started collecting and creating special mother-daughter recipes when she was pregnant with Bo, and as soon as she could sit in a little vibrating baby chair on the table while Mom baked, Bo had been her special helper for weekly baking dates.